Saudi Arabian. I'm a major retired in the U.S. Air Force, honorably discharged, and I'm Public Information Officer for Post 41, Corporal Paul S. Masubian, Post 41, AMVETS, Watertown, Massachusetts. And today we're involved in the Veterans History Project, and we're conducting an oral history of our various comrades. Today we're interviewing one of the members of our post, Andy Ohanesian. Ohanesian. Yes, Angelo A. Ohanesian.
Correct.
And we know him as Andy in our local post. And he is from 53 Chester Road in Belmont, Mass. Is that right, Andy?
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions here, conversation-wise, and you just give me whatever you can to the best of your knowledge, because we're going to edit all of this as it goes into the computer. Tell me, Andy, were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I enlisted in August of 1942.
Uh-huh. And that was...
I enlisted from Connecticut, from my home, which was in New Britain, Connecticut.
Okay. You were living in New Britain at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you married?
No.
Okay.
I just gotten out of school.
Oh, where?
New Britain Senior High.
Oh, so you enlisted out of high school.
Right.
What was it that made you enlist?
I don't know.
Was it a fear of being drafted?
No.
Was it an anxiety to get into the service?
No, just I wanted to get in the service. I mean, I knew eventually I'd be drafted, so I picked the service I wanted to get into.
So you wanted to go in to choose the service that you wanted to serve in before you got drafted?
Right.
Okay. And did you have any connections to the Watertown community at the time?
I was born in Watertown.
I see.
But we moved to Connecticut when I was 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I have relatives in Watertown.
I see. And where did your parents come from?
Harpet.
Harpetsis.
Yeah, Mazara.
Mazara.
Right.
All right. Mazara is a village in Harpet?
It's a city, I guess.
A city.
Yeah.
I see. And when did they come over here?
I have no idea.
No idea?
No, my father came before the war. I know, before the massacres over there.
Before, I see.
You know,
all right. So, all right, put it on again. Okay, so you enlisted from New Britain, Connecticut.
Right.
And you were just out of high school, is that correct? How old were you?
19.
19. All right. And do you recall your first days in the service?
Yeah, I went to Fort Devens, and I spent about a day there. And from there, I went to Atlantic City for my basic training.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there 4 or 5 weeks, I believe it was.
What was basic training like, Andy?
It's no different than what it is today, actually. Just marching, drilling, handling a gun, a rifle, bayonet, and that was about it.
Okay. And so it was from Devens and Atlantic City. Where in Atlantic City did you go?
I was right on the boardwalk at the Marlboro Blenheim Hotel.
Marlboro Blenheim. So it wasn't any place like Fort Disk. It wasn't a military institution.
No.
And where did you train in Atlantic City?
There was a field right outside of the Atlantic, the boardwalk.
Mm-hmm. And this was Army training, because at that time the Army...
well, it was Army Air Force. Army Air Corps, I should say.
Okay. And do you remember your instructors?
No.
Okay. And
it was back in 1942.
I know. Some of us have indelible memories. And from there, where did you go, Andy?
Atlantic City, I went to, I believe it was Stout Field in Indianapolis, Indiana. Mm-hmm. And again, they put me in basic training, and I told them I already had it. So they had me as an acting corporal, acting sergeant, whatever you want, and I was training recruits. And I was a recruit myself, really.
Yeah.
And,
that was a Stout Field?
Yeah.
What's there now? Any idea?
I believe it's still there.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Is it an Air Force base? Or?
Air Force.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. And from there?
Went to Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
Spent some time there.
And what did you do there? Don't tell me it was still basic training.
No, it wasn't basic training. I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and they didn't know what to do with me. Then they put me on guard duty in the MP.
Mm-hmm.
And I got caught sleeping on guard duty one night.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I went to school out in Denver, Colorado, clerical school.
Mm-hmm.
And I graduated from there.
You did?
And from there, I volunteered for overseas service and went to Camp Shanks in New York and joined up with the outfit that I was with all throughout the war.
Now, on your data sheet, you say you were with 1, 2, 3, you see, 86th Squadron, 437th Group, 53rd Wing, and 9th Air Force.
That's all one group.
All one group.
That's one outfit, yeah.
What kind of aircraft did they use?
C-47s. That was an airborne troop carriers.
In troop carriers?
Yeah.
And what did you do as a airborne troop
on the ground, I worked in supply.
Making sure the aircraft had what they...
No, I had nothing to do with the
Was it
planes.
maintenance?
I had nothing to do with the planes. There was personnel supply.
Okay. And so you went to Camp Shanks in New York.
Went overseas.
Where did you go there?
Landed in Liverpool. And from Liverpool, we went up to Ramsbury in England. And we worked out of there until D-Day. And after D-Day, we went to France. And in France, we were stationed in Coulommiers and stayed there until the war was over.
Tell me something about your experiences in England. Did the English appreciate the fact that you were there?
Yeah, I had a good time in England. I was there about a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
So that would bring it up to about 43?
In that area, yeah.
And did you stay in a military camp, or did you take over a hotel or something?
No,
there?
military camp.
Military camp. How were your quarters there?
We had the huts, the metal huts. Mason, what do they call them?
Yeah, they called, in North Africa, we called them Dallas huts.
No, these were like decent round, half round huts.
Oh, Quonset huts.
Quonset, like a Quonset hut, yeah.
So you lived in the Quonset huts?
Yeah.
And how many people would get into one Quonset hut?
I'd say there'd be about a dozen anyway.
A dozen?
Yeah.
And did you use that for quarters, or did you use that for work?
Quarters.
Quarters. And did you continue with your clerical work in England?
Yeah.
And it was mostly clerical,
Yeah.
punching out orders, so to speak?
Yeah, it was clerical and supply.
Clerical and supply.
Yeah.
All right. And
same in France.
Okay. Same in France.
Yeah.
And whereabouts in France were you?
Coulommiers.
Coulommiers.
Yeah, I think that's, I believe it is south of Paris, southwest of Paris. It's a small little village.
Now, keeping in mind that the invasion was on June 6, 1944,
Yeah.
and I suppose the Battle of the Bulge was in December of 1944. You didn't. There wasn't much combat going around you, was there? Or was there?
No, during the Battle of the Bulge, they were taking people out of the Air Corps and putting them right in the infantry, and I was fortunate enough not to have to go.
Do you remember anybody from Post 41 that served with you?
No.
Or any of your Armenian friends that served?
There wasn't one Armenian in the
Not
outfit. Nope.
And what was your? How did you like France? What happened over there? How were your quarters? The food?
In our quarters, we lived in tents. Was it I think 2, 4, 6 men to a tent.
And did you have platforms in the tent?
We built them ourselves.
You built them.
Yeah.
And again, it was mostly clerical.
Yep.
So you never saw any combat.
No combat, no.
But no. you were kind of support troop. Did you stay in touch with your family?
Yeah.
You wrote back and forth.
Yeah.
The family, all throughout. And tell us what the food was like. Any problem with the food?
There's always a problem with the food in the service.
Really?
Especially during the war, yeah.
What did Did they serve? When did they stop serving you hot food?
I don't think we ever got any hot food. It was all C rations or K rations or whatever.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, you're the first one that have said that to me. Mostly, they had no problem with food. They say there was all kinds of hot food that they had. But
I don't know where they were stationed. Not where
Really?
I was.
now, so you always had that kind of a problem
Yeah.
with the food, okay? And
The only good food we had is when we cooked it ourselves.
really,
That's right.
isn't that amazing? All right, and tell me, you have a presidential unit citation here,
Right.
and what was that for?
That was D-Day.
You participated in D-Day.
Yeah,
so-
D-Day, and we have 7 battle stars. The outfit. Yeah, it was in.
Really?
Yeah, I think I have them all.
Tell us
listed
something
there.
about them.
I did not fly in any of them. Like I say, I was
Right.
support group.
Right.
But, we took part in North Africa, southern Italy, I think it is. D-Day. D-Day, we lost. I think all of our glider pilots, plus our CO and our regular pilots.
Really?
You know.
So you had something to do with supplying gliders and
We
supplying...
towed gliders and paratroopers.
Really?
That's a troop carrier. That's what a troop carrier is. Yeah.
Ah. So it wasn't just a C-47 that had a lot of paratroopers in it. You also towed the gliders?
Gliders too. Yeah.
What did you think of the gliders?
I flew on them.
You did?
Yeah, I flew on the CG-4A, which is the American glider, and it was not bad. And the English had a Horsa glider that was made out of plywood, which was a bigger unit. But,
What did the American glider look like? What was it built of?
it was framing, I don't know, wood or what, but the canvas covered, that's all.
Canvas-covered gliders? The
No.
wings and the body?
Everything, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And how many people fit in it?
I have no idea.
You say you flew in it?
Yeah, recreational.
Recreational?
Right.
Okay. Did you how do you can you imagine what it was to be there with full gear going into the invasion?
No, I have no idea what it would feel like.
And are you saying that the body of this glider was all canvas
It's all canvas, yeah.
and the wings are canvas?
Right.
My, isn't that amazing? Have you ever flown in one? And this is a CG what?
CG-4A.
CG-4A.
Yeah.
Did they have any nicknames for it?
That's it.
Yeah. And did you ever fly in one of these English gliders?
No, I didn't fly one of those.
They were made of plywood.
Yeah.
Were they any better than the canvas-made jobs?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
And other than a flight, can you tell us anything about the operation or the maintenance of these things? How were you involved in the maintenance of these gliders?
I wasn't involved at
No.
all. No.
Okay.
No.
And you say you lost some gliders there?
We lost almost all of them, yeah.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, on D-Day. Yeah.
And so where were you on D-Day?
In England.
And you say that your group went to North Africa?
Yeah.
Was that before or after?
After.
Okay. What did you do down there? Again, in supply clerical.
Well, it was hauling gliders and hauling paratroopers. That's what it was.
In other words,
I have no combat experience at all.
yeah, that's okay.
So,
But
I'm telling you, it's
yeah,
an airborne troop carrier group. All they do is haul either gliders and or troops, airborne troops, similar to what you have today, except they don't have gliders today. Today they have helicopters.
but they would haul gliders with people in them.
Right.
You wouldn't haul gliders, for instance, with just
There'd be
supplies.
people in them, and there'd be jeeps in them, or guns, artillery or whatever. So,
Now, after you lost the gliders on D-Day, you say they continued to use gliders, bringing supplies into North Africa.
right.
Okay. How did you?
We
fare?
use gliders all throughout France. I mean, in different.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Despite the fact that you had some unfortunate experiences in Normandy.
Yep.
Yeah. And how long did you use these gliders? In other words,
Till they cracked up.
yeah, but I mean, did you continue to use them up to the end of the war?
Up to the end of the war. Yeah.
Continue to do that.
Oh yeah.
That's amazing. And the aircraft that hauled them were always the
C-47,
Okay. Now,
which is the Douglas DC-3.
yes. Okay. Now, tell us about this the North African campaign.
All I know is that the outfit I was in took part in the battle of in North Africa, as far as hauling paratroopers and so forth and supplies.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
it.
did you eventually get stationed in North Africa?
No.
Okay. And you also say here that you had experience in southern France. That would have been
Yeah.
that would have been after England,
That's right.
and then in Normandy.
Right.
Okay. And in Rome.
Yeah. Well, those are the 7 battle stars that we had.
Mhm.
That's what's listed there.
And tell us, what were the battle stars awarded for? Was it a battle star awarded to an individual or to a group?
A group.
Okay. And that's because the group took part in all of these
Right.
campaigns.
Right.
Do you know of any of the C-47s that were lost?
Do I what?
Do you know any of the C-47s
They were
that
lost.
might have been lost as
There was quite a few of them that
Quite
were
a few of them.
lost. Yeah.
most of them in the in D-Day?
D-Day and other missions also.
The result of
And
anti-aircraft.
also by our own Navy shooting them down.
Really?
Yeah.
You did have some what do they call it? Collateral damage?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the people that were serving with you? How did you get along with them?
Got along fine with them.
Didn't have any problems?
No, the officers and the enlisted men all got along fine together, and there was no saluting or anything like that.
Quite informal.
Right.
Okay. Because today in television, I think they boost up the differences between officers and enlisted men.
Not
And
when
my-
you're not when you're in not when you're in the when under war conditions you don't. I mean
Did you make any close friendships of anybody in the service?
no.
And when you came back, can you tell us how you felt?
Damn good.
You just wanted to get out,
That's all.
get back home. And
I got discharged at Westover Field. I took a cab from there to New Britain, Connecticut. That's why shows you how fast I wanted to get home.
so you were still in the you were still in the Army Air Corps at that time. They were
Right.
using the
It was still Army Air
pinks
Corps.
and the khakis.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you now after the war ended, I mean, when did you come back?
I got discharged October 13th, 1945.
45.
Yeah.
And that was like maybe 3 or 4 months after the atom bomb, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had no plans of going into the Pacific before.
Yeah,
you,
we were supposed to. Our most of our guys in the outfit went directly from Europe to the Pacific, but I was fortunate enough to be able to fly back in the planes that we had, and we were going to pick up new planes and then go to the Pacific. And I got back here in the States. I think it was around in September of '45. And then the war ended, I believe.
So the dropping of the bomb.
After the atom bomb, the war ended with Japan. They canceled our orders, and I stayed here, and I finally got discharged in October.
So up till the time that the atom bomb actually was dropped, you had no idea as to how long it would be.
No.
You know?
No, we were scheduled to go to the Pacific, I know that.
And did you feel that the military service gave you any additional skills that you didn't have before you went in?
No.
And what did you do? And how about the GI Bill? Did you take advantage of that? When
I
it
went to
came?
school
Where'd you go?
Hillier College.
And what did you do there?
I took up accounting.
Did that have anything to do with the activity you were involved in the service?
No, I took that in high school. I just
And how did you feel about the GI Bill?
the GI Bill.
Yeah.
You mean the 5250?
I don't know exactly what the benefits are.
Well, it's
I know that we got
$50.
a different type of benefit.
$50 for 52 weeks
Mhm.
if you're unemployed, and if you went to school, they paid for your schooling, which I took advantage of.
And the books
Books and so forth.
and the
yeah.
tuition.
Yeah.
Okay. And you feel that was enough?
Yeah.
It was sufficient to keep you going.
Yeah.
So, after you got out, you had no intention of continuing on with your reserve service.
No,
No, you didn't want to be involved in the
I
service.
just
at all.
wanted out. That's all.
I see. What do you feel about people wanting to go into service today?
Nothing wrong with it.
Do you think they should?
I think they should. It's a good experience for them.
Because we have volunteer service now.
Yeah, I realize
We have a
that.
volunteer military now. How do you feel about the fact that we are involved in so many theaters of operation today?
I
This
don't like
being
it.
2002.
I don't like it.
You think we should?
I think we're spread out too thin.
And in those days, how did you feel about the way that the services were supplied? Did you have plenty of supplies?
We had plenty of supplies, yeah.
Ammunition,
Yeah.
uniforms.
Yeah.
Was there any problem about having, for instance, the wrong type of uniform in the weather?
I think you're talking about referring to Korea. Yeah, no, we had no problem.
So in the winter you had winter gear,
We had winter clothes, yeah.
and in the summer you had summer clothes.
Right.
Okay. And other than guard duty, you had no real connection with explosives or
No,
ammunition or anything
no,
like that.
no.
Okay. Now, when you joined the Corporal Paul Masubian post, how did it come about that you wanted to join the Masubian
I want to play
post?
pinochle.
You want to play cards? Okay. And have you exchanged any stories with your fellow veterans here?
No, not really. No.
Have they? How do you feel about maintaining a post like this?
I think it's good. I think it's,
Okay. This is all I have been able to ask you, Andy. But
I don't have
I'm
too
gonna
much to
leave-
tell.
I'm going to leave you with anything you would like to add to your military experience.
No, I really don't have too much to add. I mean, if I was in combat, it would be a different story. I mean, I may have some stories to tell, but I was not in combat.
But you were in a support role.
Yeah.
I wasn't in combat either, because
I was in combat, combat areas and so forth, but unless you were flying the plane or a part of the crew, you didn't see any combat. So,
Okay, so we're going to end the interview right here, and we want to thank you for participating in it. And
okay.
this being May 20, 2002, this is Major Greg Arabian signing off, and we will be editing this and including it in an oral history of Post 41 and all of its members. Thank you very much for participating, Andy.
Thank you. There's your hat.
All right, we're all set.